Hey everybody, welcome to episode 34 of the Joys of... Is it really episode 34?
I just deleted one number and add the other, so I'm assuming it's 34.
I don't feel like that's right, but let's go ahead and pretend like it is. And if it's not, ha! Joke's on you. Episode 34 of the Joys of Games podcast. We are recording this on a Friday night, October 14th, 2016. This is the week of Xbox. We are making up for last week. We're doing a double episode, two separate episodes tonight. If Colin could hang in there and make it through all the way, we're going to do Xbox, we're going to hit stop, then we're going to hit record, and we're going to talk about PlayStation. That's how we do it here for your guys' listening enjoyment.
My motto in life has always been hang in there, just like that cat poster in the Lego movie.
That's probably the best part about the Lego movie.
Yeah, it's inspirational, honestly, to all of us.
It really is, yeah. I feel warm and fuzzy just thinking about it just now.
Aw.
Yeah. Is that why you got that tattooed on your lower back? Just hanging there?
Hey, you're not supposed to tell people that.
Well, I mean, every time you pull up your shirt,
What happens
everybody
in
sees
PAX stays in PAX.
it. You should see what happened at PAX East. I am one of your hosts, Josh Brown. I am joined, of course, by none other than Colin Wheeler.
Good evening.
Hi, Colin.
Hello.
Are you ready for this episode?
I'm so ready. My body is Reggie.
Last week didn't work out.
No.
We were going to do it last night.
No.
That didn't work out.
No.
Because you had a math test to study for.
Yeah, math is dumb.
Math is hard.
It's hard.
I mean, we're talking like trigonometry, right? Like that's pretty complicated stuff.
It's just the worst.
Yeah.
I hate it all.
Yeah. I enjoyed math. I just got to the point where I stopped caring about math when I realized the math I was learning was never going to apply to anything I ever needed to use it for.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing for kids to get over. Like, when they start questioning why they're learning it and have to remember it, you've lost them, you know? One of the best math classes I ever took, though, was in college. And I can't remember what the name of it was for the life of me, but it was essentially a math class set up to teach math that revolved around real-world applications of math.
Yeah.
So everything you learned in the class or refreshed on, if you had already known it, what was taking the basic principles of the math you were learning, but showing you how you were going to apply it in the real world, like as normal citizens, not like, oh, you are an electrical engineer, so you're going to need this specific math. It's like, no, you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to need this kind of math, or you're eventually going to do your taxes one day, and maybe you should vote on things like censuses and you know, that kind of stuff, where the normal everyday folk was going to be using it. And it was the most eye-opening math class I'd ever taken, because it was like, I finally, I mean, I already get it, but now I know why I need to remember it.
Or were you were pursuing a journalism degree, right?
Yeah.
So they still have classes like that. So as long as you're not doing computer science or science related things, it's basically like if you take math 111, there's like a math like 110, which is basically all the applications that you'll use in real life for those particular degrees, because you need that level of math in the correct application for a degree in like marketing, journalism, basically any kind of English degree.
Right.
Versus if you are taking like a math or science degree, you have to go much farther into that. So
sure, which is understandable, good. But you know, that's also math that you're probably going to care a little bit more about also.
Right.
Anyway, math.
Math, yo.
Math, yo. What else is new, Colin?
What else is new? Oh, I went to Leavenworth, Washington.
Did you really?
I did.
Funny story. Before you get to your story.
Okay.
I'm going to interrupt you with another story.
All right.
Val and I were in bed the other night, and we were talking about Leavenworth, Washington.
Oh.
She was like, hey, I want to go to this place called Leavenworth, Washington. I'm like, hey, I don't know what that is. You're just making up names now. She's like, no, it's a real place. My dad used to go there all the time. I'm like, nope, you're still making up stuff. She's like, no, they have all this fantastic like the entire town turns into like Santa's village during the summer or winter time. I'm like, no, you're just you watched the Santa Claus one too many times. And looked it up on Google. It's a fantastic place to look up stuff.
Hmm.
And turns out Leavenworth, Washington is actually a thing.
It is.
Yeah. Why'd
I
you
went
go
there.
there?
So my sister lives about 20 minutes away from there
Mhm.
in Wenatchee, Washington.
Okay.
So it's basically a Bavarian town. So it's
Yep.
like all decked out, everything like from their Starbucks to McDonald's. It all looks Bavarian. All looks like a little German, basically a little German town
Sure.
with German restaurants, German beers. There's like a beer garden that has like awesome brats and just crazy amounts of delicious sauerkraut and like mustards and stuff. It's awesome. Um, but this past weekend was Oktoberfest.
Okay.
So it's the first Oktoberfest I've ever been to.
Sure.
So it was a lot of different German breweries came in and supplied Oktoberfest beers along with their like more famous brews as well. So it was really fun during the daytime
Mm-hmm.
because there was a lot of like adults and there were some kids there too because kids were allowed to come with adults and there's like live German bands playing music,
Sure.
and like there's a dance floor, so there was like people dancing and some little kids were dancing too, which was super cute. Then you walk around and like there's people decked out in like lederhosen and like other like culturally relevant like attire.
Right.
Nightfall happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a frat party, and I wanted to get the heck out of
Interesting.
Dodge.
I was thought you were going to say it's a ghost town because there's only like 2,000 people that live there.
There are so many people, and I think it's the people from Seattle and everyone that goes into that town because, I mean, Oktoberfest, and I could be wrong about this, but I think Oktoberfest originated somewhere in that region. So to keep that custom over here to the United States,
Oh, I thought you
because
meant in Leavenworth. I'm like, I don't think
oh
Oktoberfest
no,
originated
in
in
like
Leavenworth, Washington.
no. Yeah, no, in like in
Yes,
Germany or
it
somewhere
is.
over there.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
so people when you get there, like I thought it was going to be a little bit, I guess, in the morning it felt like what I thought it was going to be, but at night it felt like a party that I didn't want to be at. Like
Sure.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so many people that are just drinking way too much and like just doing stuff that I just don't want to be around. So
You're a family man.
yeah, I'm a family man. I was with my dad, I was with my sister, my brother-in-law, and I was with Sharon, my wife. So I was just like, we soaked it all in the morning because we got there at like noon, and then by like 6 or 7 is when nightfall happened. So we left after that, and I was pretty satisfied with that. So it was really fun. Yeah,
You know what I learned
lots
about
of good drinks.
when I was Googling Leavenworth, Washington?
Yeah.
The town, it was inspired to look and feel the way it was, based on a town in California called Solvang.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up right next to Solvang.
Oh.
Like it was like a 20-minute drive from where I grew up, and it's like this. I can't remember what is. It has Danish. It's a Danish town essentially.
Okay.
All the buildings are like windmills and
Cool.
like have the architecture of what it's trying to replicate, and yeah, fascinating little town. So then when I was reading about Leavenworth, they're saying how the town was inspired to be what it is based on Solvang, California, and what they did to like, honor the Danish culture. And I was like, huh, that's absolutely fascinating. And yeah, so Val has like wanted to go to Leavenworth, Washington, like forever because she's always heard how for one, she heard of the Oktoberfest celebration that they have, which is big to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then, come the winter months, into November through December, the town basically turns into Santa's village.
They actually do that up until February. I went
Holy
there
cow.
last February, and it's just decked out in Christmas lights, and there's still snow that time of year because it's up in the mountains, man. Like
Yeah.
it's so bizarre because you'll drive on this like little highway,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden there's just beautiful mountain pass, which is where Wenatchee is, and
Mhm.
you cross the river, you keep going down the mountain path, and then there's another town, which is Leavenworth. It's a gorgeous ride there, and then when you get there, like the view is it's just spectacular.
Yeah. No, I was looking at the pictures and I was like, that's a little town shoved into a mountain.
Yeah.
Like
if you can, if you can get a hotel there, because it's a really nice little cozy place to walk around and see all the stuff. So
there's like one street that goes through it, right?
Yeah. It's just like a strip. Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely bizarre.
Yeah.
Leavenworth, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are officially the world's #1 Leavenworth, Washington podcast now.
Sweet.
How about that?
All right.
Breaking records.
Heck yeah.
Here at Joys of Games. No, you're actually here to listen to us talk about video games. We're going to oblige. We have some games to talk about for sure. Plus, we don't want to go on too long because, again, we do have to record a second episode directly after this one. And why would we just use up all of our good material on one episode, Colin? That's silly.
Crazy.
It's absolutely insane. This week, we're going to be talking about Xbox. It's a big week for Xbox and the Microsoft Corporation. It's fall. Madden came out, which is the official start of the video game season.
Mm-hmm. It's a kickoff, if you were.
It is the kickoff. Yeah. Unfortunately, Cleveland Browns still haven't kicked off their season, but eventually they will. Video games are coming out.
Yeah, we're being tackled by video games.
A lot of big titles. Mostly have been multi-platform. Until this week.
Yeah.
We finally got a big exclusive for one of the platforms. And this has been an exclusive that people have been waiting for and talking about for a while now. Like, I remember last year people saying, oh, come fall of 2016, Xbox is going to have Gears of War 4. That's going to be like their big exclusive title for the year. Like, they're hinging everything else around the launch of this game.
Mm-hmm.
So Gears of War 4 came out just a couple days ago. Unless you bought some different weird edition, I guess you could play it last Friday.
Right. So the Ultimate Editions, Microsoft did this with Forza as well, Horizon 3. When you bought the $100 edition, you got to play it 3 days early, and then it included like DLC and stuff like that.
Sure.
They did that with both, and that and Gears, so
I'll take your word for it.
You should.
So, I mean, for the folks that didn't buy the Supreme Deluxe Edition, you had to wait till Tuesday. Normal day for games to release. That's what happens. So, we're definitely going to be talking about Gears of War 4 on this podcast. Brace yourself, folks. Before we talk about Gears of War 4, though, we definitely need to talk about a title. We have to go back in the past and talk about a game that we have kept in our back pocket, holding on for 34 episodes now, knowing eventually we're going to need to talk about this because, let's be honest, Microsoft doesn't exactly have like a giant catalog of wonderful retro games. They've only been around, what, decade, 12 years, something like that? 16?
Almost 20.
When did the original Xbox come out? 2000?
2001? 2001.
2001?
Yep.
Okay, 15 years.
So, 15 years.
Okay, that's almost 20.
We round it up.
What math are you in again?
Think about it. If you round it,
sure,
it's above 5. So if it was 14, we'd round it down to 10 years. But 15 and rounding up to 20 years.
Okay, so increments of 10 is what we're going by.
I mean, that's what life is. Increments of 10.
Decades, man. Decades.
Shoot.
There's no name for 5 years.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like 10 years is a decade?
No.
They call it a decade?
No.
Right?
Nope.
Every 10 years it's a decade? Every 5 years it's not something else, is what I'm saying.
Nope.
So life is measured by decades.
Is it by decade? By decade.
By decade.
What is it? There's got to be.
Double decade?
For this. Decade times 0.5.
Half a decade?
is equal to or greater than
What's the cosine?
cosine for a house.
Have you started working with cosines yet in your math class?
Cosine for a car.
I feel like you're using the wrong version of cosine.
Space Coast. No,
Here's
that doesn't
here's
work.
a legit question. Before we talk more about video games, I'm more interested in your math class now.
Mm, mm.
How much better is the technology as far as like calculators and the ability to look up answers now than say 10 years ago, a decade ago, maybe a decade and a half ago?
It's exactly the same.
Is it?
Yeah.
That bums
They
me out.
still using the TI 89 calculators, and they're pretty much the same.
I
Like
feel
they
like
haven't
89
changed.
like were the same calculators like 15 years ago.
Yep,
Didn't they
they
start
are.
like increasing them to like 90, 91,
I mean, you
92?
can, but the like you can do. I think there's a TI 95, and that one's like a
Ooh,
$200 calculator.
okay, okay. Now we're
But
talking.
it doesn't do anything more than what my calculator does. What I need it for. Those are for like professional. Like that's
Mm,
what they do as a profession. They use
sure.
those.
Hmm. What if you just plug in an equation to Google? Will you get the answer?
Sometimes you kind of it depends. So like if it's a pretty simple one, yes. But if you do a really complicated one, Google gets confused.
Hmm. I just feel like technology should be hand in hand with the math that they teach in school. You know, like think back. I don't know. You're probably too young for this. But like when you had math tests, like in middle school, let's say,
Okay.
when you would have a very handy watch on you when you're taking this particular math class, this test that you couldn't use calculators on because you needed to know the math. You couldn't just plug in numbers. So you'd wear your watch that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just any watch, Colin. We're talking about the calculator watches. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Casio calculator
They
watches.
still make those. We make it sound like
What I'm
they're a thing of the
saying though
past.
is when you had that, you thought that technology is one step ahead of your math teacher, right? You're like, I got this. Thanks to this awesome calculator watch, my math teacher, who is refusing to let me use a calculator, I have now outsmarted him
See, I was a good
or
student,
her.
so I didn't do any of that.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
dude, I
Maybe you knew people.
straight laced. That
Maybe
was
you
me.
knew people that
I
did that.
n- I'm
What
no,
I'm saying is,
I didn't
I knew
associate
the
myself with those
math.
people.
I just wanted to have the satisfaction of outsmarting the teacher just a little bit. And I felt like at the time, technology was moving a little bit faster than the math teachers were, right? By the time the math teachers were turning around to teach the technology was already ahead of them. They were teaching last year's technology math, you know? So like you
I
start pulling out calculators, all of a sudden you're playing like Lemonade Stand and Drug Wars on your graphing calculator
holy
and
cow.
like it was a thing, man. It was technology was always one step ahead of math teachers. And I am disappointed to know that if I went back to school right now, like the technology would suddenly be par or maybe even a little behind the math teachers.
You know what's completely absent
Hmm.
on the opposite side of the spectrum?
Hmm.
Cursive.
Yeah.
Gone.
Whew.
Doesn't exist.
Ooh. Talked about that a couple weeks ago. My daughter had a birthday, got a card, and the inside was written in cursive, and she was like, "I can't read this." And she's
Yep.
8. She could
Yep.
read. She could read just fine.
That's what Hayden said too.
She can't read cursive though, and I was like, because she was like struggling. I was like, "You know these words. Don't play me." And then I looked at him like, "Oh, cursive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
unbelievable."
I had to learn it. I had to write it. I had to read it. And honestly, man, even now, like some people's cursive is so old-fashioned that I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Why does the S look like an A?
Right. And here's
Why
the
is
thing: if we're going to decide as a country to eliminate teaching cursive in school, then conversely, we need to as a nation, say we are not going to allow any fonts on any computer program to be in cursive. Like, you can't have fonts in cursive and then refuse to teach cursive in school.
Yeah, as like a fundamental, like
Yeah.
as a not fundamental, foundational
Right.
lesson, because like at this point, like your daughter and my son, like if they don't learn cursive at this point,
Right.
it's gonna be very difficult
It's going
in
to be
their
an
adult
elective in
life.
high school.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. It's like gonna be like what friggin' calligraphy is.
Sure.
Like that's the same thing.
And
Like,
how do you teach them later on? You know? Like,
I
you'd have
mean,
to force them to read it over and over again until
I
they pick up on it. But
I just honestly think that like by the time they have kids,
Mhm.
paper is not going to be an issue. Like they're
Sure.
just going to be typing everything anyway.
Again,
So
that's why we need to
at this
eliminate the
point,
cursive fonts.
that's the thing is like if we're that's even scary to think about that. Like they won't necessarily need to learn to write
Right?
because computers will write for us.
Yeah. They'll be
Shoot.
thinking words. They won't even need to use their fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be in VR, man.
That's I mean that's what I was getting at.
It's the future's now.
But there's so many wires.
Back to Xbox.
Yeah.
Don't know how we got there. That's gonna be fun to listen back to. So we've been holding on to this game for a while now.
Oh yeah.
And we talked about eventually discussing this game, but we figured, hey, let's do it the week of Gears of War 4. Of course, that game is going to be the original, the OG Gears of War game, the game that kicked off the franchise that we know and love. This is now 5 games?
Yes.
Yes, because Judgment was not numbered.
Right. It
Right.
was like a spin-off. Well, not a spin-off. It was like a side story, I think, in between
Right.
one.
Possibly the best of the series. A la Halo
Maybe.
Reach.
No.
Halo Reach is by far the shining star of that franchise.
You know, they recently did an update to Halo Reach backwards compatible, so the frame rate doesn't wig out like crazy, and you
Okay.
can actually play co-op properly backwards compatible. Because apparently, like they were having really bad frame rate issues before, but now it's actually all cleaned up and nice, which is awesome of Microsoft to even do that. Because
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are really playing Reach right now? Probably not that many.
Not enough is the answer. They're about to have one more, though, now that I know that. Whew, dust off that copy.
It's a good game.
Let's do it.
Great game.
Gears of War, the original Gears
Yeah.
of War game.
So Gears of War, it completes the holy trinity of Microsoft IPs. I think you have Halo,
Mm-hmm.
then you have Fable,
Yep.
and then you have Gears.
I was wondering if you're going to name Fable.
Unfortunately, Fable is RIP.
Yeah, but
So what we have left is Gears and Halo.
eh,
But Gears of War, man, like holy crap, that was when that first trailer debuted with the Gary Jules Mad World.
mm-hmm.
For one thing, it was the most brilliant marketing I've ever seen in a video game trailer ever. Secondly, the trailer looked amazing, but what was even more amazing is the game looked like the trailer.
Right.
Like the game, it truly was the first next gen game to
Yeah.
see, because the 360 had been out for a year at that point by the time Gears came out. So before that, the only other game that looked really nice was probably Elder Scrolls Skyrim,
Hmm.
but it didn't have the shadowing effect. It didn't have the the water textures and everything like that Gears of War did. Because Gears, seriously, I mean, you can look at the game now; it still looks really good.
Right.
Like visually, it's stunning. But that's not what made the game really like significant. What made it significant was the gameplay. So
Right.
Cliffy B took heavy inspiration from Resident Evil 4's over-the-shoulder shooting and made it faster and made it tactical.
Hmm. Which
The
was brilliant.
Yeah, it really was unlike anything I'd ever played before, and I have to like applaud them for that because it took me a while to understand how to play Gears of War.
Hmm.
You hear interviews that's like, oh, it's, take cover. It's a cover shooter, third person cover shooter. I'm like, okay, well, what is that? So I decided when I booted the game up for the first time, start playing it like Halo. I was like, I'm just gonna run out, run and gun, and shoot people. Or Resident Evil 4, I guess, is a better parody there.
Sure.
And I just kept getting killed over and over again. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Am I?
Why am I dying?
I'm supposed to be the Master Chief.
I'm good at games.
Yeah. So finally, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to take cover, and the cover system works so well. In fact, I don't think any game that's had cover has done it as good as Gears of War. It's so satisfying.
You say that, but here's the thing. There are games that have done cover systems really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's games that you never think about. It's the Time Crisis games and all the arcade shooters where you would have to like step on the pedal to like
Sure.
come out of cover. Like, but that's where it came from, you know? Like that
Yeah,
was a cover system that worked in arcade light gun shooters.
Yeah, I mean, it's really satisfying. Like the mechanics of just like, you're doing your little roadie run is like their version of sprint. You can't really guide yourself too much. You can sway a little bit to the right to left, but when you hit cover, it would make like a thumping noise, so you felt weight to your character.
Yep.
And then you press up on the joystick and you can peek over and shoot, and then you let go and it immediately goes back under cover. Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And for console games, like you're right. Like we were broken as gamers because of Halo and like and other games where you just run in and just get the job done. You know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It also like not only the cover mechanics too, but like there were so many little, I guess, mini games in it, in the sense that like you could do sort of do combos in a way when you're shooting someone. Like you could shoot someone, roadie run to them, then use the Lancer, which had a freaking chainsaw on it, a gun with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And you can cut your enemies like butter to meat pieces.
Right.
The most satisfying way of killing in any video game ever. I cannot think of a more satisfying way to kill an enemy.
Right. And it was a satisfying melee attack in a shooter.
Yeah.
That was the important thing.
Right.
Because other than that, like melees were just like, oh, you're going to pull out a little knife and it's just to like, I'm out of ammo and this is my only defense now. Or, like it never, melee attacks and shooters never, ever felt satisfying. It was always just a last ditch effort, or you're trying to be funny, or you just had no other option.
Yeah. It not only is the gameplay great and the way it looked was great, but it did have not the best story, but it had an interesting world and an interesting narrative to it. You had basically this world called Sierra, which is an Earth-like planet that's far off in the distance, with these two factions that are fighting each other, and then all of a sudden these creatures called the Locusts just come out from underneath the ground and start trying to take over the world. And you have a court-martialed protagonist, so he's already the bad boy, type thing, being released from prison to have to fight these monsters. And like just the encounters are so interesting how they do it. They start you off with little grub guys that are, you can chainsaw and take off no problem. And then you get to the point where you fight the Berserker for the first time, which is so scary. Do you remember the Berserker?
Yeah. Yeah.
giant like pink awful scary monster thing that screams at you and you can't do anything to fight it. Like you shoot every bullet you have, every grenade you have, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing affects it. And then they add on to it, which is cool. They give you this sweet gun that has like a satellite to the ground, so there's a charge to it that you blast them down a giant laser. It's so cool.
Yeah. Shooting enemies in that game was fun because, a lot of people kind of dismiss Gears of War enemies for being bullet sponges.
Yeah.
I kind of don't mind it sometimes to just unload an entire clip into an enemy.
That's the thing, is that's what this game is going for.
Yeah.
Like this game is not going for real ultra realism. Like
Right.
it's going for a satisfying shooter.
Sure. I mean, just look at how big the characters are, Like
Yeah.
they're jacked. Marcus Phoenix is enormous compared to like normal citizens,
Yeah.
So it's like everything's already exaggerated in this world. Like it, it shouldn't be like, oh, like 2 bullets and that enemy's dead type of thing. Like I want to, completely, fill his entire chest cavity with as much lead as I possibly can before he falls over.
Plus, like the enemies too, like they're not human, so their anatomy could technically be different. So they could take a lot more shots before you take them down.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, yeah, that's just it was really interesting. And the game, so the game had obviously the cover mechanics. It had like the combo system with like active reloading to also give you like a buff as you're playing, which is super cool. And then there would be like certain like bad guys that were very reminiscent of Metroid or Zelda, where you had to figure out a way to beat the enemy rather than just like shoot, shoot, shoot. Okay, the next area, you had to like be strategic with it and figure out how to, get to do damage to it. So it was just like a combination of so many amazing different things that I give such high props to Cliffy B and Rod Ferguson for the game. Like it's just absolutely stellar.
Right. And like it was one of those games when it came out where you knew it wasn't going to be just like a one-time thing. Like it just had that feeling immediately of it being
after you completed it for sure. Like
well,
you're like,
yeah, but
like,
I mean,
this game is so dang good. There's no way they're gonna leave. They're gonna leave it alone.
sure, but I mean, just like once you start playing, like it felt like something like this was going to have some teeth in the industry and will be around. Like Halo, like when we all played Halo and played through it, you're just like, yeah, that I want more of that,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then you play, there's other throwaway shooter games. You're just like, that was okay, that's fun, but
Yep.
it's not going to be a franchise, you know. But like Gears of War immediately had that superstar AAA type of feel to it, where it's like this is going to be around for a while, and here we are, 4 games
Yep.
later.
Yep.
So
10 years later.
10 years, wow, it's incredible. And
Yeah,
it feels
it's
like it
nuts,
was
right?
just a couple years ago.
It really does not feel that long at all.
No, that's ridiculous.
Well, it's been like 5 years since Judgment, which
I know.
also doesn't feel that long ago.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Judgment?
I liked it.
Me too.
I really don't like Baird. Like I think he's like the worst character in that entire universe.
I think that's kind of why I like the game, though.
He's so patronizing, he's so annoying, but I really like playing as Cole. That was awesome.
Sure.
But I did like what People Can Fly did with their version of the Horde mode, where you could actually play as the Locusts,
Mm-hmm.
which was really cool. You could play like not just like the basic grubs, like you do in multiplayer, but you could actually choose to be a boomer, or you could choose to be the little like centipede thing. Like it was really fun.
Right. Gears of War. Well, before we transition into some Gears of War for Gears of War,
Gears of War.
4,
Gears 4.
Gears 4.
Cheers to Gears of War 4.
Wow, that's a mouthful. Before we get to that game, Colin, Let's touch on some news here.
Mm.
We got some things to talk about here.
Mm.
Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Top selling console for third month in a row. How
Yay.
about that?
Congrats to them. I think this is the first time ever since the Xbox and PlayStation have been out that the Xbox has outsold them 3 months in a row.
Now, eliminate all fanboyism,
Yep.
right? Eliminate all that nonsense, hyperbole that means nothing.
We are not fanboys here.
Nope. Here's my honest take on why this is happening.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, people are excited about Gears of War 4.
Rip.
Right?
It's a big part.
I think so. I think PlayStation 4 just plateaued because there's like, 45 million units, worldwide owned by people. Mm-hmm. Like, there's only a certain amount of people that are going to be buying video game consoles. And once a majority of them already have a certain console, like, that console is not going to keep selling like gangbusters eventually. So then people are going to be like, okay, well, I already have a PlayStation. I've saved up a couple $100 over the last few months. Now I'll finally get that Xbox that I didn't want to get a couple of years ago. Now I'll go around and pick it up.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I think it's one of those things that there's people that want one system, which I would consider the casual audience, and there's people like you and I, and probably the most listening audience, that want to, if they can afford it, get any kind of gaming experience that is possible. So, I primarily play on Xbox, and I bought that first, and then I got a PlayStation 4 later. And I think what's happening is all these PlayStation 4 owners, like you were saying, are now seeing that the Xbox has a lot of great exclusives.
Yep.
And there's really nothing coming out this holiday for PlayStation. So they want new exclusive gaming experiences. Go with the Xbox.
Sure.
And $299 for that slim model is a steal.
Absolutely.
So
you're also just missing the third category of people that will just buy every new system day one and just have everything.
That's true. Yeah, because I mean, I think what will be interesting is, and this is another thing that I'm wondering, is if people are waiting for the Pro.
Yeah.
Like, if the PS4 Pro is going to be, I guess I guess that's not the right way to phrase it. If people are that interested in the PS4 Pro, because I'm interested to see, like, if that launches, what is that? That launches next month, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say in December, when we hear November's NPDs, if Xbox is still outselling them, that'll kind of gauge it a little bit more.
Right.
But I am curious if the PS4 stopped because of the Pro being announced, and not to mention that the Xbox One S actually does have some improvements over the OG Xbox. It actually has a very, very, very small amount of GPU boost, about 10%, 8 to 10% on specific games, which basically just increases like shadowing and makes your games look tiny bit nicer. As the 4K Blu-ray player, as well as it has 4K upscaling. So if you have a 4K television, you will get 1080p upscale to 4K, which actually makes it look a lot nicer. And it has HDR,
right?
Which, if you have 4K TV, that makes the color spectrum a lot wider.
Yeah.
And I think for like the hardest of hardcore gamers, that those type of features are going to interest them.
Sure. But like the PlayStation Pro, like, I don't think. Here's the thing: people didn't. It's not like the PS4 sold 0 units, this last month.
Yeah.
Like, I think it just plateaued. Like, again, there's the 3 categories of the consumers. There's the ones that will buy everything day one because they have to have everything.
Yep.
There's the casual that only want one system, and it's usually whatever system they're familiar with most, or what their friends have.
Yep.
So like Xbox, when the Xbox One launched, they already had the people that were buying everything day one, regardless of whatever they thought of the system, because they needed to be in that conversation day one. And then the people that were like, oh, I have a 360, I'm going to upgrade, or all my friends are getting Xbox One, so I'm going to get Xbox One. You already had those people. Now they're getting that middle ground where the consumers that do want multiple consoles in their house and want different options to play games, but don't necessarily want to buy everything day one and have waited. Now those people are finally coming around and picking up the Xbox Ones.
Yep. And honestly, this is the best year to get an Xbox One.
Yeah.
at least so far.
Yeah.
Just because Gears launching, and you have so many other great exclusives like Sunset Overdrive. Please, everybody, buy that game,
Yeah.
please.
I mean, you got it for free a few months ago.
Yeah,
Everybody should have done that already.
but if they're getting Xbox One this month,
No, bet they could have queued it up though.
that's true. They should have. If
I
they were
mean,
smart. They were smart.
what I'm saying, yeah. So
Coulda,
I mean,
shoulda, woulda, man.
yes, Xbox One, they're selling great. I don't want to take anything away from the fact that they, third or the number one selling console for 3 months in a row. That's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't want. I want to like temper the fanboyism in people to be like, oh, Xbox is dominant right now. They're doing all these great things. It's because they have all. It's not necessarily that.
No,
like
not,
it might
not
have something to do with some of it, but at the same time, there's all kinds of things going on.
Yeah, those factors always fascinate me too.
Yeah.
Like I always want to know why, like the PS4 is basically trending to be a higher selling console than PlayStation 2. I'm curious what happened. I was thinking about it earlier. It's funny I'm talking about this on the Xbox episode, but I was thinking about it earlier that I think it's because the generation was so freaking long that even the casual audiences wanted a new system.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just the hardcore, it was the casual wanting a new system as well.
Right.
And I think that's what's making both these systems just skyrocket in sales.
Yeah.
Which is
and
exciting.
We're in a very tech savvy point in history.
Not to mention people have money this generation versus last time it was during a major recession. Yeah. So
I mean, think about when the PS3 and Xbox 360 launched, we didn't have iPhones.
Yeah, that's true. First iPhone came out, 2007?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to think about.
I remember my 360 had component, and then I had to upgrade to the Elite so I could have the HDMI.
Sure.
So I didn't truly get like a full 1080p experience until I got that Elite console.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's like, I mean, that's how far we've come with technology. So people are more excited about new tech, and like that's the age we live in now.
Yep. Information's so easy too. That's the thing too, is like everybody has smartphones, so any news that you're interested in, you can find in an instant. So
conversely, everybody having iPhones and exploding Samsungs
right, everything
has also put a weird dent in the gaming industry, because many people just play games on their phone that they're just like, I
don't know if it's I mean
it's altered it some. I'm not saying it's negatively affected it or positively affected it one way or the other, but it's definitely changed it in some ways.
Yeah, it's definitely when you look at how games are being released, it's still very much in this weird, because of the mobile market, it's in this weird, like, we don't have a standard, so we're kind of throwing everything out there and seeing what sticks.
Right.
You think about a game like the Old Republic, right? Came out as a subscription based off of World of Warcraft, which had been out 10 years prior, and then all of a sudden they decided to go free to play. And my guess is they make more money now that they're free to play because they have the microtransactions for outfits and skins and buffs and all that stuff than they did before, and they're emulating it off of the mobile market. But other games don't see that success, so I think there's just like it's bizarre to me, because like I feel like a lot of video game companies don't really know what to do, and now there's a lot of these games that have microtransactions inside a game that they've already paid $60 for. I mean, Halo and Forza and Gears of War, they all have microtransactions within them.
Yeah.
And me personally, and a lot of people get all like huffy and puffy about this, but I don't think the people that get huffy and puffy about it realize how expensive these games are to make. Like, think about it. Last generation, our games were $60, right?
Yep.
So you would think this generation would be $70, right?
Well, that was going before the two systems launched. That was the going speculation was, are they going to raise it to 70, 80? Like, they have to increase, right?
Yeah, they have to. But they didn't. And
No.
the previous generation, they negated that a little bit with the. I don't know if you remember when you bought a game, they would have, gosh, I don't know what it was, some kind of code to play online or something. It was like not a season pass. It was so if you bought a copy new versus used from GameStop, there was a specific code that
Oh.
gave you specific
Yep.
content.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it was called, but they tried to do that with last generation because
Right.
microtransactions wasn't really a thing yet.
Sure.
And now
And
that
they were
it
trying to stop
is,
the trade-in market also.
yeah, because I mean it's
Yeah.
a whole mess. But yeah, that's the thing is like I wish people understood that these microtransactions, and it also depends on how it's put in. So like with Halo and Gears and like Overwatch is another example. Uh, these are cosmetic items. They don't affect your core gameplay experience. This is if you are fully invested in this game and really want to like show off some flair or something like that, and you throw them a buck or two. Like that just goes towards developers and that recoups the cost so we can get sequels for these games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I just wish people would like just I'm not a game developer, but I can see that that's clearly why obviously they want to make money off the game, but it's also a way to recoup costs because if a game, let's say Gears of War didn't sell that well.
Right.
Like I think it's going to sell well, but let's
Sure.
say hypothetically it didn't sell that well.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that bought it enjoy it so much that they're going to do the microtransactions, they still might be able to recoup that cost.
Yep.
So,
Halo 5.
yep,
They chose to give out all DLC packs for free,
right.
but they also had microtransactions within the game. So
Yep.
they went the route of we're not going to charge people for all this additional content we're going to make, but we're going to hope that they throw some bucks our way on these microtransactions.
Right.
No idea how that worked for them.
Sure. And
But
they probably
it
will
was,
never release that
No.
because the fact that there's microtransactions, Microsoft doesn't really even want to talk about it. So
Yeah.
because it has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
And rightly so because the mobile market has nasty business practices.
Mm-hmm.
Candy Crush, it's like give us $1 if you want to continue playing our game.
Simpsons tapped out.
Why can't I just pay you $5 Plants vs Zombies 2 to own the game instead of having to pay microtransactions?
Biggest mobile game debacle ever.
I can't play that game.
No.
Like it makes me so sad.
Yeah.
I was
wanted to love it.
so excited about that game. So excited. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm really excited about Mario Run, but I've never been more excited for a mobile game up until then. Like
Sure.
Plants vs Zombie 2 was the like perfect like that was like a AAA mobile game to me. Most anticipated.
Yeah, because Plants vs. Zombies, the original game, was so good.
So freaking good. And I don't, dude, honestly, if they charged $20 for that on my phone,
I would
pay it.
I was sitting there with a credit card, like, just let me give you money. Please let me buy this entire game from you. And they just wanted a nickel and dime.
Yeah, it's gross. It's gross, and that's why microtransactions have such a negative connotation to it because of how awful these business practices are, and it's
not awful. They're deceptive, and they prey on those who don't pay attention.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like the casual audience, like they don't know any different. They're like, oh, is this how this works? Okay, whatever, because they don't have a console that they're buying $60 games for. They have their phone. That is their gaming machine.
They're super predatory because those people don't have the same kind of like spirit that console gamers have, where it's like there's almost like a code of honor, when it comes to gaming. Like it should be, your skill should be based on your skill, and how much time you've put into practicing your craft at this game.
Yeah.
Whereas mobile market came in with the microtransactions and it was pay to win,
Yep.
Consistently, and that went against like the true competitive spirit of gaming. Like when people were playing Pong back in the day, it was who's better at moving this joystick up and down, who's faster, who has the better reaction times.
Right.
Now it's like who has more money. Just mobile gaming has changed the industry, is my point.
Indeed.
Before we go much further, Colin,
Ah, yes.
I have to apologize.
Oh.
Not to you,
Oh.
but to the sponsor of this show,
Mm.
who knew we neglected to mention at the beginning of the show, because let's be honest, we kind of got sidetracked immediately.
We do that pretty often.
Yeah, probably more often than we should. Big Mike is a sponsor of this week. You can find him on Twitter at BigMike8109. He does a podcast. He does a podcast with me, a professional wrestling podcast, but that's not what we're here to plug. He does a podcast called Said Enough Games. You can find it on Twitter at Said Enough Games. Check it out. Please do so. It's on iTunes, Google Play, I'm sure, Stitcher, YouTube. Definitely check it out. Big Mike 8109 on Twitter. Thank you, Big Mike, for sponsoring the Xbox Week.
Yeah, thank you.
I actually asked him about Gears of War 4, and he's waiting for his buddy to get it, and his buddy is waiting for a paycheck before they could go out and get it, because they wanted to co-op the whole thing. So
Nice.
he's anxious to play it. He's super ready to play it. He's loving WWE 2K17 at the moment, so he's okay. He's held over until then, but he's super pumped about Gears of War 4, as he should be. And I'll mention Big Mike again at the end of the show here. Sad news, though, before we actually talk about Gears of War 4.
Mm-hmm.
We try to stay out of negative things on this podcast, for the most part.
Sure.
We try to talk about the joys of games, because there's lots to be had, and most podcasts don't get to that point, ever. Cuphead.
Yes. R.I.P.
I just...
Canceled. It's never coming out.
It kind of feels that way.
Yeah, so Cuphead got pushed to 2017, which I thought they had already announced this for some reason. But I guess they didn't, so officially it came out. So
because there were rumors of it being like this summer, like a Summer of Arcade type of title.
Right, but I knew it wasn't coming out this summer because they already said it wasn't coming out this summer. And then if it didn't come out in the fall, I don't know. It's a terrible time to release it past the summer, honestly, for this type of game. Yeah, so I think, I mean, delays are good. Like, it sucks for us that want to play it, but delays are good because they're fixing the game. Like, you don't want to release a game that's unfinished, especially from an unknown studio and an unknown IP.
Yep.
So this is a good thing. It sucks we have to wait longer, but it's going to make the final game a lot better.
I hope it better.
It will.
My disappointment comes from the fact that 2 years ago at E3, I played it.
Sure.
And it was the E3 before that when we got the first trailer of it. So now we're potentially going to be hitting a fourth E3 of Cuphead hype, and it's like, it's too much for this game. Too much.
Games are hard.
I understand that. But I don't need to see it 4 years straight before I actually play it. Like the full game.
Yeah, there's still a lot of lessons to be learned about revealing a game and
Death Stranding.
Yeah.
What? Excuse me.
Like, you really, when they announce games, they should probably be done within a year or so. But, sometimes hiccups happen. Some features want to be added. Like, it does happen. But, like, these small games, No Man's Sky is another one of those that's just...
People, honestly, I do not understand why they don't look at what Bethesda did with Fallout 4 last year and just do that. Because, I'm sorry, that 3-month window of announcement to release for Fallout 4 made that game so ridiculously overhyped that, like, it of course it was going to sell gangbusters, and people absolutely fell in love with it. It was a fine game, sure, but people fell in love with it because basically when they got the game, that was like their first real experience with it,
The problem is you can't really do that with new IPs. You
No,
really
no, I
need to
understand that.
build the
I
brand with
understand
new
that.
IPs.
But when you have a publisher like Microsoft behind you, Microsoft.
Well, it's not. I mean, they're doing it through the ID at Xbox program,
Yeah, I
so
guess so.
it's not directly Microsoft that's doing this.
Yeah, I know. What I'm saying is, because there should be some confidence behind. I don't know. I'm not saying Cuphead a 3 month turnaround from announcement to release, but at the same time, like that would also be kind of cool too. You know?
Yeah, they definitely need to be like, as soon as that thing hits cert, that's when they need to do a marketing push and then release it a month later. They should not talk about this game or show this game at all anymore.
No, stay away. Stop
Yep.
making demos.
Yep.
Just finish it for me.
Yep.
So it could be my favorite game ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so close. Let's go ahead and talk about Gears of War 4.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Oh man.
Full disclosure, I have
Yes.
not played it yet.
Oh dear.
I loaded it into my Xbox
Oh dear.
tonight.
Were you able to navigate the dashboard?
Colin, I swear to God, it took so long for me to figure out where my games and media tab was. I always scroll to the left, and that just pulls up like friend list and
Sure.
notifications. And I'm like, this isn't where I want to go. So I look at my pins. There's nothing in my pins because I've never pinned in, Gears. I think it's a mess, dude.
The problem with it is they keep changing the UI, and since you don't play your Xbox very much,
Right.
you get confused every time.
That, and they keep messing with it, and it's still not good. It's better, but it's still not good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's immensely better from what it launched with 3 years ago,
Yeah.
but it's not even close to being a good UI.
Yeah. I don't really think either systems, or all three systems for that matter, have a very good UI.
God, let's go back to the Wii.
Yeah. The Wii is pretty simple. The Wii is like your freaking iPhone, man. Like, you just have your giant icons.
Yep.
That's what I want.
Why do you think it hit the casual audience?
I'm just saying, like, when I look at my PC, like, that's what my PC set up as. I have little tabs for everything that I use most often.
GameCube?
Versus...
Spin that thing around?
Yeah, GameCube.
Do you remember the GameCube?
It's the business. Yep.
So, what I'm saying is, I loaded up Gears of War. I had it installing tonight. I was making dinner while it was installing. Everything was going to be good. I was going to get in maybe an hour, if I was lucky, maybe 2 before podcasting, depending on how things went. Then I got called in to work on an emergency call, and my entire evening just got thrown out the window, Colin.
Oh, man.
As far as Gears of War 4 is concerned. So, start of the podcast, I have 0 time spent in Gears of War 4 because I know it's very important that I let you know, the audience, how many minutes I have played a particular game. For me, it's 0. You call it, however, you've played it. You haven't beat it. You just started it. You're a busy guy.
Sure.
We're both busy guys.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it just came out Tuesday.
Right.
Give the guy a break here.
Please.
You work,
Please
you go to school, you raise a kid, you have a wife. I don't know what else you do. Do you have any hobbies?
Video games.
There you go.
I'd like to think.
I mean, football. I mean, you're all up on that. So
I know all the sports stuff.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're a pool hustler on Thursday nights, unconfirmed. Weirdly enough, you're always busy on Thursdays.
You can edit that out.
What I'm saying is, you've played a little bit.
Yeah.
We're both excited to play it. I'm super stoked to play. Amazon delivered it yesterday for me. It came out Tuesday. Amazon's like, nah, you're not going to get it till Thursday. I'm like,
that's weird.
Thanks, Amazon. Appreciate
Normally
that.
they release it the day of.
Yeah.
Pretty good usually. About that.
And then I got this email saying, it's going to be delayed. I got $5 credit.
Oh, weird. They even, like, I remember I was watching Kind of Funny Twitch stream, and they were doing, like, a Gears of War, like, launch Twitch stream.
Yeah.
And the whole promotion was Amazon Prime Now, getting it, pre-ordering it that night and getting it at midnight.
Sure.
That's funny that you didn't get it until 2 days later. But that's cool that you get free $5.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I mean, it's not like I don't have other games to play, but, you know.
Yeah,
would have been nice. So I didn't even get it till yesterday. Whatever. So I haven't had a chance to play it. You've played it. Tell me about it. What do you think of it so far?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's so it's weird to me. Okay, so like playing it is it's like getting on a bike
Hmm.
and like it's been so long since I played a Gears of War game, but I know exactly how to play,
Right.
and it feels so good to be back like in this like strange like nostalgic feeling. Um, it it it's I don't know how to explain it that it's just more Gears, but that sounds so terrible to say. It's just more Gears because it's
But it should be.
yeah, it's not a so I guess the comparison it is not a Halo 3 to or let's do Halo 3 to Halo 5. Like Halo 5 has the new abilities and like there's a bunch of new stuff that's going on with like the core game. From what I've played so far, it's very much like the original trilogy and Judgment as well. And in the sense that it's very cover shootery. All the weapons are the same so far. I've come across like two new weapons, but for the most part, all the weapons are the same. And they do something really smart to ease you back into the series. And the very beginning of the game, there's like a montage of some woman that's speaking to the crowd about the war that happened before Emergence Day and how the coalition, I think no, the coalition is the game developer. What are they called? Or is the coalition the actual Gears people? I can't remember.
It's
I know the
all
game
just.
studio is called the coalition, but I don't remember if the army is called the coalition
It
ever.
sounds really familiar.
Well, they call them cogs, so I'm assuming that's what that is.
Sure.
So the cogs basically are attacking like this, like they're having a civil war with some other faction. So the cogs attack this facility to get the Hammer of Dawn. So they get you through basically the basic mechanics of going to cover, how to throw a grenade, how to jump over cover, how to use the turret. And then after that, it flashes back to the woman speaking again. And then she basically says, without the Hammer of Dawn, we would never be able to defeat the monsters of Emergence Day. And that's when it starts going back into Emergence Day, like the first day when the locusts start coming out of the surface of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the game just like blows your mind because it's so beautiful, because it's very bright and vibrant. Like the colors are so they pop so much, and like the animation of the characters are so smooth, like so much better than the other Gears of War games, and as it should be 10 years later. But then you go through and you basically use the Hammer of Dawn, so it gives you the introduction on how to use the Hammer of Dawn, and how to like kill enemies with it. So it's really smart because it kind of takes you back in like all these like quote unquote like flashbacks, but also teaching you the tutorial of the game.
Okay.
So that's when once that portion's over and the speech is over, she basically ends it by saying, "Oh, I wish Marcus Phoenix was here with us today," implying that he's dead.
R.I.P.
Which, marketing, great, spoiled that for me, but whatever.
Sure.
Um,
They need to make sure people felt good about coming back to the
Sure.
franchise.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Darth Vader in the Rogue One trailer.
And I mean, God of War. I mean, they showed Kratos.
Yep.
We don't know if we're actually playing as Kratos for the whole game, but we're just like, hey, he's back.
Right. So after
I like
that,
the Darth Vader analogy though. That's really good. I like that.
the
Or Han Solo in Episode 7.
yeah, yep, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Then
R.I.P.
after the spoiler, man.
What? No, Episode 7. It's done. It's gone.
No,
We're moving on to Rogue One, Episode 8.
No.
That's what I'm talking about.
No. It's not that.
There's not a single person on this planet that hasn't seen Episode 7
Have you
yet.
heard the theories of how he's not dead?
Nah,
I'm like, he got stabbed pretty much in the heart and got thrown off a 1,000,000-foot cliff. How is he not dead?
There was a
the
net
Force saved him.
at the
I'm
bottom.
like, what the? He doesn't even have the Force. How did the Force save him?
They just can't let. Maybe he comes back as a robot.
I could just imagine Chewbacca interacting with a robot version of Han Solo, and it made me laugh a whole lot. Ugh.
Yeah. Internet, man.
They like Darth Vader him, so he's the new Darth Vader.
Do you ever want like just wish you had as much time as some people do? Like free time, like how much time would it take to conjure up a realistic conspiracy theory about Han Solo still being alive?
That's
Like I can't muster that energy to even think about knowing it's a thing that people think about.
I don't know what to tell you.
Man,
Don't know what to tell you. All right, Gears. So
Han Solo
after
back.
Han Solo is not in Gears of War, unfortunately.
Confirmed.
Maybe he's a skin. Maybe microtransactions.
I mean, you haven't beat the game,
That's true.
so
I'm glad you brought that up. I can't. I can't confirm or deny it.
okay. Just
But so far,
sure.
I can deny it.
Okay.
So far. So after you beat the tutorial section, you start with the new characters of this game, which is JD, which is Marcus Phoenix's son, a girl named Kate, and her drunken uncle, which I don't know what his name is, and then there's another guy named Oscar that's with you.
I feel like the drunken uncle is probably Steve.
Sure, we'll just call him Steve.
It sounds like a drunken uncle name.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay.
So the opening sequences, they're on some kind of, they're trying to break into some kind of facility to steal supplies. I'm not super sure why they're going in there, but it basically gets you into the city, and it's like really bright and the sun is out, and then all of a sudden these like little robots start attacking you. Like the city is mad that you're trying to steal their stuff, so their security is robots instead of actual people. So there's a couple different new enemies. They're all called DBs. I am assuming that's an acronym for something. And the standard robots are kind of like the standard grubs from the previous Gears games. And then they have these little like BB-8 droids that come out and like are suicide bombers. So they'll come out to you and explode and give you like electric shock, so it like stuns you.
Okay.
And then there's like boomer classes, which are like just taller giant blue robots. They all drop like these, similar to kind of the Prometheans in Halo 5. They drop weapons that are similar to what they are. So they have like guns that shoot electricity, so you can kill them easier with that. But I mean, the core mechanics of Gears is still there. It's just a lot smoother and a lot cleaner.
Sure.
Everything looks great. So it feels like a coming back in a very, very good way, and I can't wait to play more of it. So
Awesome.
I didn't get, I didn't get super far into the game, but I got enough of a grip of it that I'm already like in love with this game. So
Yeah. That's fantastic. Are you a horde mode fan?
I love horde mode.
Yeah.
The one thing that the one thing that scares me about horde mode is nowadays is me finding time to actually play that.
Right.
Because when horde mode came out for Gears of War 2, we got to level 50, but it took us like 6 hours to do it.
Okay.
So I hear this one's significantly harder too.
Good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Gears of War 4.
Yeah.
A lot to look forward to. Next time we do a...
Oh, I forgot to mention.
Ooh, one more
the Xbox Play Anywhere works amazingly.
Okay.
So I played it on PC primarily. And then I quit out of the PC version. And then as I was setting up the podcast with you while I was waiting for everything to get settled down, I started playing it on the Xbox, and it left right off where I left off in the game.
Perfect.
So when you boot it up, the one thing that people need to know though is you can't play them both simultaneously. So if you wanted to co-op with like someone on your Xbox and on your PC, you can't do that.
Buy a second copy, you
it'll prompt you, and it'll say you're playing this somewhere else, and then you just basically say, "We'll play it here," and then it immediately kills it from the PC and then starts it on the Xbox, which is awesome. This is just the stupid easy interface to figure that out.
It should actually say, "Do you want to play it on this device also?" And then you click yes or no, and you say yes, and it just takes you to the Xbox Live Store. Doesn't charge you, but it reminds you, "Hey,
right,
stop it.
Give us that double money, yo."
God, that'd be so good, wouldn't it?
I will mention, if you have a PC that can run this, play it on PC,
Mm-hmm.
because it is so on Xbox. I'm not a resolution person, but I am a frames per second person. On
Sure.
Xbox, it's locked at 30 frames per second for the campaign. On the PC, it's a very good port of PC. You can there's options to do unlimited frame rate, which is nice.
Wild Wild West over there in the PC world.
Oh yeah.
Did every copy, or was this like a special thing that I got through Amazon, get you all 4 previous games?
So when I bought it digitally, I got my codes for the other games, I think 2 weeks before the game actually came out.
Okay.
My guess is it's like the first like couple months is going to have those codes.
Okay. I didn't know if it was a promotion from Amazon for pre-ordering or something.
Yeah, everybody had that.
Okay, cool. Nice little bonus.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Every single game in the series.
Don't know if I'll have time to go back and play all of those, but hey, it's cool.
Yeah.
I like the gesture.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also.
Ooh.
One more thing. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. One more thing.
Keep forgetting.
Sure.
If you have little ones at home and you don't want to play a super violent game, you can turn the gore off. You can turn the language off. So it basically just becomes a shooter without gore and language.
Or you could just play Skylanders Imaginators.
Well, that's an option too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's coming out soon. It's coming out in 2 days.
It was the only way I could actually get you to transition out of Gears of War 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the more we talk about it, you're just going to keep coming up with one more things.
Yeah. I feel like, what's his name? Steve Jobs.
Colin, what's coming out in our near future?
Like you said, Skylanders Imaginators. It's coming out in 2 whole days.
Yeah, buddy.
Man, those figures look super cool.
Don't
I
they?
was telling you, the pumpkin head looking girl.
Chopped scotch.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what is this? This is so cool looking.
Welcome
It's
to
the same
Toys for
feeling
Bob.
I felt when I saw the Day of the Dead guy last year.
Oh, yeah. Fiesta.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his car was so cool.
Right.
We also have Battlefield 1 coming out.
I forget
October
that's
18th.
coming out so quickly.
Man, that game looks really good
Are
too.
you gonna get it?
I don't know.
Okay.
My thing is like I really want to, but like, am I even gonna? I need to beat Gears of War.
Yeah.
I need to, I have so many other games to play right now, so I don't.
I have a respect for Battlefield, and I know there's a lot of people that are like, Battlefield people. They like that experience.
Mm-hmm.
I only have a certain allotment of energy in my life for war games.
Yeah.
And I believe I'm already giving them to 2, which you're about to list off here at the end of our list.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been a big fan of Battlefield, mainly because I don't know. It has always felt like it's more of a social experience than I want to have while playing video games. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's so the thing I really like Battlefield. I think the Battlefield and the Call of Duty comparison is really only valid in the sense that it's the same type of setting.
Yeah.
But they offer such different experiences, which I really like. I like both of those games because of it. Because I feel Battlefield, if you have the time to play it, is, I think, a much more satisfying game.
Sure.
Because you have this open landscape, and now the new games all have destructible environments. It's just constant chaos happening all the time. So you just have a lot of those really interesting stories that you can tell people, or like video clips that you can share with people.
But it feels like the matches last forever.
They do. That's the thing, is like minimum match is going to be like 40 minutes at least.
Yeah.
And then the Call of Duty is more so like hop in for 10 minutes, complete a match, and then you're out.
Yeah.
But like Battlefield 1 looks really, really interesting to me just because it is the World War One setting.
Mm-hmm.
And the different mechanics that they're doing, like you can ride a horse and stuff and use mace. You can use a mace against people, which is kind of crazy.
Mace or pepper spray?
Hilarious.
Can't
It's a
nobody
spiky
take
mace.
my pride. Can't nobody hold me down.
I don't even know what you're saying.
Oh no. Got
Is that a...
keep on moving?
What is that? Is that an old person song? What is that? What is...
Puff Daddy and Mace?
Oh, I have no idea what that is.
Do you know who Puff Daddy is?
I know P. Diddy is.
Yeah, he was.
I know who Diddy is.
P. Diddy is. God, I hate you for being so young. Do you know who Mace is?
Macy Gray?
No, Mace. M-A $E.
No. Wouldn't that be Maze? I'm just saying. Dragon Ball Z Universe 2 is coming out October 25th. I hear it's over 9,000. So
I thought it was like 5.
No, it's definitely over 9,000.
Okay.
So that's coming out. I'm excited about that one.
Sure.
Because I like Dragon Ball Z.
Sure.
Maybe that's a game I should have you play on stream, and then you can commentate on what's happening.
Are you buying it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I might pick up the first one on the cheap.
There we go. Probably Redbox it.
I hear it's really good. Titanfall 2.
There we go. Now we're talking.
October 28th does have a story mode.
Give me some mechs, man.
Yeah. Which is just weird to me that it's 10 days apart from Battlefield 1. But, like I said earlier...
EA knows what they're doing.
Well, Battlefield and Call of Duty have different experiences, and I would say the same for Battlefield and Titanfall.
Unfortunately, Titanfall 2 is getting thrown to the wolves here.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is Titanfall is much closer to Call of Duty, and I don't know if the Call of Duty train is going to stop this year, especially because of the Modern Warfare remaster that's included with the deluxe edition of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which comes out November 4th.
Titanfall 2 would be better served to be released in February.
Yep. There are too many shooters this fall. Too many.
Yep.
At least Gears of War is very, very different.
Sure.
But there's too many first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Like,
Talk to all the people getting new consoles for Christmas. Talk to that market.
I don't even know, like, looking at these 3 titles... Because Call of Duty Infinite Warfare's campaign looks super cool. Like, you go to
You're
space
in
and
space!
stuff. How cool is that? And it's also, like, the Naughty Dog writers are writing the story. Like, how cool is that? So, like, I have this internal struggle where I'm like, Titanfall 2, Call of Duty, Battlefield 1 looks cool too, but, like, out of these games, which one would I play? I'm not...
For me, Battlefield 1 gets left in the dust here.
Okay.
But the general audience, I feel, is going to gravitate towards Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty, and Titanfall 2 is not going to sell.
Yeah. Which is
mean,
sad.
The best part about it is it's on PS4 this time around.
Yeah, that helps.
It's not exclusive to Xbox One, so there's a bigger market for the game, but Battlefield and Call of Duty are both multi-console also, so I worry so much about Titanfall.
That's the thing too, is like you look at Battlefield 1, and if people are really craving for a shooter, and I have a feeling that Battlefield 1 is going to review very well, and if people are seeing reviews and they pick that one up as their shooter of choice this fall, what's going to make them want to buy another shooter 10 days later?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and then, or look at it this way, like if the Call of Duty enthusiasts are like kind of undecided because maybe the last couple of games they didn't like as much, you know, if they're considered Titanfall, sure, but like if they wait a week later, they can get Call of Duty again.
Yeah.
So it makes me sad because the first Titanfall was so good. Like, it was such a like transformation of Call of Duty.
It gave Call of Duty the wall run.
Yeah, it was basically Call of Duty had to copy them after the fact.
Yeah.
So, and it didn't even feel as good. Like Titanfall is way smoother than Call of Duty's
Sure.
wall run.
Yeah. I want Titanfall to succeed, and it's in a bad spot, and I'm
Yeah, it
worried
really
about it. I
is.
want to be surprised. I do. I'm gonna support it, but will enough people? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'll be interested to see if it sells better than the first one. So
If people didn't want to buy games,
sure.
because I mean, why would you buy games this time of year? That seems silly.
Yeah, there's nothing out.
No, there's nothing out, or you're just waiting for Santa Claus to come in a couple months.
Uh-huh.
That's the thing. If you want to play some free games, Colin,
Oh yeah.
could people play free games if they wanted to?
Yes.
What games could they play for free?
So in 2 days, because Microsoft does their weird half-month free game thing on my bobber.
Sure.
I don't know. The Escapist, which is it's like an 8-bit version of a jail simulator, and you have to try to get out.
I know what this is.
I heard it's very good.
Sure.
The
name doesn't sound familiar until you described it, and then boom.
Yeah, the sprites kind of look like the sprites from like Super Dodgeball.
Yeah.
You can also get MX versus ATV Reflex,
Sure.
and that's backwards compatible via Xbox 360.
Do you know what those acronyms stand for, Colin?
MX means for maximum xylophone versus always television reflex.
Yeah. Boom. Nailed it.
So
it's a good thing
that's coming
your
out.
Motorsports.
Yep. So that's coming out. There's a weird like cult following for that series. I get
MX is motocross, by the way.
What is it?
Motocross.
Well, it should be like a cross, not an X, I would say. But then that would be religious. So
then it would be a T also.
Well, not if it was up a little bit more. It would have been a cursive T. Does that make it less confusing?
It'd be even more confusing. Yeah, you get a cursive T.
So maybe they should just put right out cross instead.
Sure.
Yeah. That'll work. So here's a title for you. Okay. Super Mega Baseball. Extra innings.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about that is what would make this super and mega baseball? Is it mean the actual physical size of the ball is super and mega? And if that were the case, what would that game look like?
I feel like there's probably a mega baseball.
Okay.
And then they're just like, man, we want to make a sequel, but we don't want to make like a full sequel. We just want to spruce up this version. Let's add super to it.
Okay.
A la Super Street Fighter 2.
Sure. Well, it also is extra innings.
Right.
So is this I'm thinking this is like a baseball game where you have a really big baseball.
Well, it's not the next game. It's the continuation of the current one.
Oh, so it's like the next generation?
Yeah. Well, no. Like we're just going to keep playing this one, and we're just going to keep playing.
Oh, so it's like Madden every year.
Sorta. No, not really.
Extra innings, that means there's probably like 11 innings.
But it's still the same game. It's just like continuing on. It's not like Super Mega Baseball 2.
So this is like the DLC.
This is like the 0.5.
This is
like the
Game of the Year edition.
Yes.
Because you can slap Game of the Year on literally anything apparently nowadays. That's always the best when there's like a game that clearly bombed and they come out the Game of the Year edition of it.
Who's stopping them?
That's true. Who is stopping them? Because I'm sure some random French website or South African website says it's their Game of the Year. So,
but it doesn't even matter. They don't need anything. Like, it's not like they have to like revoke those copies of the game because nobody in the entire world listed as Game of the Year. Like, there's no board of directors saying, "Hey, you got to recall those. That's misleading." Nobody cares.
I care.
Nobody cares.
That's
really cares.
True. I really don't care.
No,
I just think it's
for
funny.
it. It's a great way to package all your DLC in.
Oh yeah,
and resell a game, and it's cheaper.
Heck yeah!
I paid $30 for Mordor.
I'm down for good deals. Always down for the good deals.
Colin,
Oh yeah.
It's about the end of this episode here.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
We've desperately been needing to talk about Ocarina of Time.
Right.
However,
Mm-hmm.
it's getting a little bit late, and we
Yes.
have a whole nother episode to record.
Yep.
I put forth a vote that we hold off on talking about Ocarina of Time for a couple episodes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention that we are doing it because the last episode when we had Justin on, we did not mention that we were doing the
Right.
bucket list.
Well, we got into some decent talk about Canada and Super Mario Brothers 2.
I mean,
which
I'm not
doesn't
saying
happen
that
very often.
what we talked about was more important.
Right.
I was just saying that we need to let people know we did not forget,
Well, we did.
but we didn't.
We kind of did.
But we did.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is we didn't.
Not
because in my
intentionally.
mind and in my heart, I can never forget Ocarina of Time. But
Preach on,
we
my
have,
friend.
we have something special planned for that. So stay tuned.
It deserves it. It deserves more than us just going over it quickly over a couple minute span.
Yep.
Deserves
It's
way more.
too important of a game.
I agree. So play it. If you haven't played it yet, go play it. Play it. Check it out.
Yeah,
Listen
Val.
to the music. If you don't even want to play it, just find the soundtrack. Just listen to the music.
Yeah, Val.
Do
She's
something.
She's not listening.
She's not listening. Also, she's playing Disney Magical Kingdoms, Disney Magical World 2 right now.
Oh, I see. You're the problem.
Here's the thing, Colin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I bought that for her today.
I know.
She was super excited.
Yeah.
She also doesn't know that tomorrow I'm getting PSVR. Yeah.
That's a good fun conversation.
Well, I'll just remind her that she got Disney Magical World 2 out of it.
You should have saved it. You should have waited as you're setting it up, and she'd be like, "What is this?" And then you'd be like, "I don't know, but what is this?" And then you hand it to her.
See, my goal is just to bypass that entire question altogether.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. Don't even give the possibility of having upsettedness.
Yeah, good luck with that, buddy.
If you don't talk to me for a while, you know why.
Godspeed. Oh, you know what? Since this is the Xbox episode,
Yeah.
if you have a PSVR at home and you would like to watch your Xbox in cinematic mode, you can do that with
What?
your PSVR.
What?
Yep.
Talk to me.
So there's a cinematic mode in PSVR,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Basically, if it's not a VR game, you can basically watch. You can play a game in. I think Greg Miller described it as like a 110-inch TV screen in your room. Basically,
Sure.
is what it
Okay.
feels like.
Okay.
Now, the way the PSVR works out is it's got an HDMI pass-through.
Right.
So any HDMI you plug in, that's where it's going to get its video source at.
Mm-hmm.
So if you plug in the HDMI from your Xbox One into the PSVR, you can use that same cinematic mode. Yep. To get the audio, though, you have to plug it in through an Xbox controller or turn up the volume. You can only do it through the controller because the audio is dependent on the headset. And if it's still hooked up to your PlayStation, obviously you're not going to get any audio from your Xbox that way.
Right.
And the Wii U is the same way. You put the headphones inside the what's it called?
Gamepad.
Yes.
Headphone jack.
Thank you.
Fascinating.
So you could do that if someone wants to watch TV and you really want to play a game, you can hook up the HDMI to your PSVR and have a second TV.
That's the most convoluted thing I've ever heard of.
Well, you know what?
Welcome to the
This is the
future.
future.
Let's save the VR talk for next episode, though.
All right.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here, Colin.
All right.
This
This is the future, so I'm trying to get ahead.
Well, Microsoft. Hey, thank you, Big Mike, for sponsoring this show.
Thank you.
Big Mike on Twitter at BigMike8109. Little does he know he's actually texting me right now. Sorry, Big Mike, I'm not responding because I'm recording a podcast talking about you. It's pretty meta.
Oh man.
Go check out Mike's podcast, Set Enough Games, on Twitter at Set Enough Games, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, Tinder, all that good stuff.
Oh, really? Tinder?
Well, I don't want to make assumptions.
Tumblr,
That's what I meant.
MySpace, Friendster.
Favestar?
I
I
don't know
don't
what
know
that
how
is.
that works.
I don't know what
Snapchat?
that is. Oh, Snapchat. That's a
Yeah,
thing. I know that one.
yeah. All the
I don't
kids are
use it, but
snapping
I know
these
what it is.
days.
Oh, Instagram.
Hmm. Hmm. Pinterest?
Pinterest. Yeah, I wonder what he has on his Pinterest page.
A lot of wrestling
You know what?
stuff.
You know what Pinterest is to me? Clutter.
Digital
It
clutter.
should be called clutter.com.
Tumblr and Pinterest give me anxiety, like real life anxiety.
So Tumblr is like,
I don't understand how Tumblr works.
yeah, Tumblr is just like, it's like Twitter but way less organized and way longer.
I don't get it.
And Pinterest is like, what garbage can I put on here? Oh, I'll just put all the garbage all over everywhere. And my favorite is when I search for a recipe and it gives me to Pinterest,
Mm.
and then I have to click the Pinterest thing,
Yep.
which brings me to the recipe.
Yep.
But then it doesn't really give me the recipe because it just previews the recipe. So then I have to click it to what it.
Yep.
What? Just stop.
Yeah.
Stop
And
with the
when you
digital
type in
clutter.
like any recipe, 9 times out of 10 it takes you to Pinterest.
Yep.
It's so bizarre.
Ladies and gentlemen, stop the internet clutter.
Yes, you could be a digital hoarder and stop it. Stop it.
Just be organized. You can hoard. I don't care. Just be organized about it.
That's true.
Please.
Colin, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh man. I'm at PDX_geek
On Pinterest?
on everything. It's not true at all. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitch
Yeah.
at PDX_geek as well.
Sure.
Changed my name, so there you go.
Nice. Look at that
What else do I
synergy.
got?
That's brand synergy if I've ever seen it.
What else I got? Oh, on Xbox, I'm at Cabooses Hero. On PlayStation, Cabooses Hero.
Okay, that's enough.
On
Okay, stop it.
you
Just
MySpace.
you're not on MySpace.
I have. Okay, I'm done.
What's your aim?
Oh, what was it? I think. Oh, I remember what it was. This is a great story.
Save it for next episode.
Okay.
We're running out of content. You can find me on Twitter at the noise with a Y. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at Joys of Games. You can email us joysofgames@gmail.com. Of course, everything we do is posted over at the website toysforgames.com. And if you'd like to support us and what we do, like our friend Big Mike, you could sponsor one of these shows. Just not the Xbox episode. That's Mike's. Any of the other ones, it's all yours. Patreon.com/toysforgames. We're going to hit stop. We're going to hit record. We're going to be back for the PlayStation episode. It's Friday night. It's getting late. It's getting wacky. Things are about to happen. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Colin, see you in just a few minutes, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else out there?
Gearing up for it.
Stop. No. How long have you been holding that in?
I'm virtually thinking about it in my reality.
I hate you so much. Everybody else, go play some games. Have fun. Enjoy them. For the love of God, enjoy the games you're playing. Good night.
You're all cogs in the video game world.